Hey guys, welcome back. You ever wonder why your job sucks, or that you can't get a pay raise, or you're seeing no growth in your company? Well, look no further than to the top. Let's get into it. Now, I was on my walk today, taking my son to school, and we meet up sometimes with another dad and his daughter, and my son and her are in the same class, which is cool. And we get to walking and talking some days. You know, we're talking about our kids quite a bit here and there, talking about sports and what our kids are doing. And we're both coaches. I'm a coach on the baseball team, and he's a coach for his daughter's soccer team. Makes sense, right? That's what parents do, okay? Now, we're talking yesterday morning, and he's talking about his team and the fact that one of the girls at the practice was gone. And this is the top girl, okay? The top soccer player on the team, she was gone for practice. And we were talking about behavior for kids, and he goes, yeah, it was a different vibe completely. You know, the team was kind of all over the place. They weren't paying attention. They weren't focused, et cetera, et cetera. And it was just a free-for-all at the end of the day. Now, you know, it's not any fault to his own. He was just saying how it was a different vibe altogether because his leader or best player was gone, okay? Now, we can apply this to society. Nothing changes, guys. Nothing changes when you turn 18 or when you turn 35. Many adults out there are like little kitties, okay? They're like little kitties. They like to be like children, and they don't want to take any personal responsibility, or they don't want to take ownership of their lives. They need to be followers in this world. That is the way the world works, okay? And so if you're at your company, you need to pay attention to this. You need to pay attention to who's running the show, okay? Now, we can apply this to sports as well, right? We can look at the Chicago Bulls of the 1990s. Who was their leader back then? It was Michael Jordan, all right? Michael Jordan led them to 6 championships, okay? If he wasn't there, would they have won 6 championships? I doubt it. Maybe 1 or 2. You know, Scottie Pippen was pretty decent, okay? And then, what about Tom Brady? The leader of all leaders in football, the GOAT. The guy who won, what, 6, 7, NFL championships? That doesn't happen very often. There is a reason why they were so successful back in the 2000s or whatever it was. And then we can look at companies, guys. Who are the leaders in these companies? We can look at Steve Jobs, took that company to the heights of where no one ever thought you could have $1 trillion company, Then we look at Jensen at NVIDIA. Now it's the most valuable company in the world. What is it? $3 trillion market cap, something like that. Then we look at Elon Musk. He took his companies to, the heights that no one ever could think of. SpaceX and Tesla, et cetera, et cetera. But you know what's interesting about what happened with Tesla and SpaceX is that Elon Musk took a break. Okay? He took a break just like that little girl did. She was out of practice. He went into politics. And guess what's been happening? Sales and rocket problems have been happening at Tesla. Now, I think some of that is market conditions with Tesla. We have high interest rates, but I'm not going to give any excuses, to be honest. I believe that the reason why the company is floundering, is because Elon Musk took a break. Their leader, the person that everyone looks up to at that company, decided to go on his little tangent, so on and so forth. And, maybe SpaceX is having trouble with that big, rocket they're trying to get into orbit because Elon Musk hasn't been on people at that company. He's been AWOL into politics and Donald Trump, okay? And it was funny, I was talking with, this guy on my walk, and I was like, oh my God, that's exactly what Elon Musk did. He took that break just like that little girl, And that's what it is. We strive and work harder when our leaders are leading and leading the vision that the company has or your family has. You know, there's probably a leader in your family too. You know, that's probably my wife, to be honest. You know, she's running the household. She's managing everything that's going on, the schedule and et cetera, et cetera. You know, I'm just following along, kind of doing what I got to do to make the money and make her happy, you know? And that's what it is. If she was out of my life, I'd be a hot mess. Honestly, I would be. I'd be a hot mess. My kids would be a hot mess. And so what you need to do in your career is pay attention to these nuances. Pay attention to your manager. Are they worth anything? You know, do you need to move to a different department to move up in your company? Or is the CEO, you know, not the top brightest person? Is he or her making mistakes and making stupid decisions? It's probably the case for most of us. We don't all work for, you know, NVIDIA and Tesla and Google and Microsoft. We don't work for these great companies who have great CEOs. We just don't. You know, we work for mom and pop shops and small businesses, small companies who have just, adequate people. You know, they kind of know how to do the job here and there, and it is what it is. Okay? And so you got to pay attention to that because you might have to make a move. All right? Sometimes you got to make a move in your life, take the risk, and go find a new job, find a better job. And I've talked about this on previous videos long time ago, like months ago before I had any subscribers or viewers, is that the more moves you make, the more money you make, guys. That is the honest truth. Okay? Now, I don't mean it in a sense that, oh, you know, make a move every 6 months. You know, I haven't made that many moves, but I have made a few. Okay? I haven't just stuck at the same company forever because I saw the incompetence at every job I was at. Okay? You got to pay attention to these things. You got to see what the problems are with your organization because I'm telling you, it's a hot mess half the time. No one's motivated, including the middle management. You know, they're just there with a paycheck trying to do their day and go home. Okay? But if you want to make the big bucks, you got to make more and more moves. You got to find better teams and better leadership. This is why leadership does matter in the real world. Okay, the best companies in the world with the employees who are making bank, you know, at NVIDIA, those engineers, they're making $300,000, $600,000 because that company is so successful, let alone the stock that they're getting. You know, that stock just keeps going up day after day after day. You've got millionaires at Tesla who work on the production line, guys. Millionaires, Americans, by the way, who are millionaires, okay, because they have a leader that inspired them for the last 10, 15 years until he went AWOL for the government, okay? But now he's back. And so why is that stock going up 100% since, you know, Donald Trump took office or just after that? It went down to $200. And why did it come back? Because the market is pricing in leadership coming back to that company. It's very visible and relevant. Wall Street understands this, okay? And you have to understand this as well for yourself, okay? So pay attention to what's going on at your work, and I think you'll be able to make good decisions, okay? You don't want to make rash or brash decisions, you know? You don't want to, you know, leave your company if, like, you're unsure or whatever. You know, there might be some good leaders at that company. You know, have some conversations with people. Talk to people in upper management. You don't have to be afraid. They're just regular people like you. You know, their time is taken up by meetings and meetings and meetings and whatever it is they do. But try to find that time to talk to people in the company. Try to find out what the vision is, what the direction is. You know, are the leaders happy? Are they confident? Are they saying good things? Or are they just complaining, bitching and moaning? You know, if they're doing that, that's a red flag, to be honest. If that's all they're doing, you know that the company's going in a bad direction. Maybe sales are going down, whatever it is. So hopefully this video helps you guys figure out, you know, a strategy for your career. You know, let me know in the comments below if you guys feel the same way. You know, is leadership a big deal at a company? I think it is. That's just my take, but you guys let me know, you know, if you had these type of problems at your company. I'm sure there's some good stories out there of some problems at companies, no doubt. So let me know in the comments below what you guys think. And if you guys could, like and subscribe if you do like the content of the channel. And take a look at my previous video if you could. And everyone, have a wonderful day. Thanks.